Hi, my name is Elise Turner and I'm going to give you a walkthrough of the application form for the Cultural Recovery Fund for Heritage second round. This will be looking at the mechanics of how to fill it in and what information to put where. So if you're looking for information about the criteria and eligibility, please read our application guidance on our website. This short video is aimed at groups who perhaps this is the first time you've applied for a grant, so want to get an idea of how the form works and what to expect. So this is the online form. First thing to know is we recommend you prepare the answers to your questions in advance. Save a copy and then copy and paste your answers in. There isn't an option to save this form as you go along. There's also an overall word count of 3,000 words, so this is a good chance to check how much it is that you've written. You'll also need to supply us with some supporting documents, such as your accounts and business action plan. So please download these templates from our website and have them filled in and ready to send to us after you've submitted this form. You need to get them to us by 2 p.m. on the 28th of January, and if we don't receive them, we won't be able to accept your application. If you need any technical support or assistance with accessibility, please contact our customer services team either by email inquire@heritagefund.org.uk or phone 020 7591 6044. For specific queries about the programme, please contact Culture Recovery Fund at heritagefund.org.uk, but please be aware we can't provide feedback on specific eligibility questions or proposal. So let's click Next and get started. The first thing to do is to select which part of England your organisation operates in. If you're near a border or not sure where you fall, please check the map at heritagefund.org.uk/funding. I'm going to click here that we are England-wide. Next thing to do is to give the name of your organisation. This needs to be the full name as it's shown on your accounts at Charity Commission or Companies House. Don't use a shortened or trading name as it's going to delay us getting your funding to you. So here I'm just going to fill in an example. On this page, you can let us know if you received money from the Cultural Recovery for Heritage Fund previously. If you have, a box will open and there's a chance for you to put in your reference number. It should begin OM-20 and it will have 5 numbers after it. This third section is going to tell us about the main contact for your application. So please enter your name and your email address. Please make extra care to make sure this email is correct, as this is the main way we will contact you to request your supporting documents. And make sure that you're available over the next couple of days to answer any questions with your application. And do also put in a phone number in case there's any problems with your email. Next thing to do is to put in details of a secondary contact, someone who can answer questions if you're not available. So again, put in their name, email and phone number and make sure there's somebody who knows about your application or be able to answer any questions. This next section is where you put in the address of the place where most of your activity is going to take place. If you manage multiple sites, don't worry, just enter the one where it's the largest part of where your activity will take place. Next thing to do is add the postcode of where motor activity will take place, and then also add the postcode of your organisation's registered address as it will appear on your Constitution, Charity Commission or Companies House. The next question is to tick the option of what best represents your organisation. If you click Registered Charity or Registered Company, a box will open up where you can put in your charity number. Please only do this if you are a registered charity or company, either registered with Charity Commission or on Companies House. If nothing fits, but you are still eligible, please tick Other here and enter in what type of organisation you are. A little box will pop up where you can describe the nature of your organisation and how it is that you're eligible for this fund. And if you do click Next at any point without filling in a mandatory field, a red box will come up to show you what is missing. So you can fill it in and then click Next. In this section, tell us about the civic heritage you own, manage or work with. Tell us why it's important. Does it have a formal designation such as a listed building, or how is it important to the nation or your area? As with all the questions, there are lots more pointers here about the information you can include, and do also read our guidance. There's no specific word limit for each section, but remember there is a 3,000 word limit for the whole form, so please write as concisely as you can. Next, please tell us about the cultural and economic impact your organisation has for your place. Again, there are lots of pointers to help you think about what to include. The next section is where it tells us about how you're going to open up access to your heritage by improving the diversity of your audiences, visitors, participants, workforce and governance. The next 3 questions are asking about staff that you've employed. First, tell about how many people you employed before COVID-19 and how many you employed now, including anyone who's still on the payroll but been furloughed. Next, tell us how many full-time equivalent staff you plan to employ by June 2021 if you're successful in getting this grant. And don't forget, if you employ 2 part-time people, say at 2.5 days a week, that's your equivalent of 1 full-time person. The next 3 questions are asking the same again, but for any contractual or freelance staff. So again, tell us how many you employed before the pandemic, how many you do now, and how many you plan to employ in June 2021 if you're successful. The final section is about how many visitors do your organisation usually attract. If you want a visitor attraction or you don't know, please just enter 0 here. This should be based on a normal year like 2019, as things are pretty unusual right now. There are also 2 optional questions where it's really helpful to let us know if you're aware how many visitors are from the UK and how many from overseas. But don't if you don't have this information and just leave it blank. The next section is how much money you will need April to June. Make sure you double check that all the costs you include are eligible in our guidance, and there are some limits on what you can apply for. For example, as this grant is only covering a quarter of a year, if you're applying for help with your overheads, you should not include more than a quarter of your usual annual turnover, as shown in your accounts. There are also some caps if you received money from the Cultural Recovery Fund previously. You can find more details about this on our website. Please make sure to round up your request to the nearest £100 and make sure it matches the information you put in your cost breakdown. As example here, I'm going to put in 50,000. Next, let us know if the figure includes VAT. If you usually claim back VAT from the government, then please enter the figure without VAT and click No. Now we need to know about your finances. You need to have your accounts ready for the last 2 financial years read to hand. And also, if you've got them, your working management accounts or a log of your income expenditure so far this financial year 2021. You'll also need to submit these accounts as the supporting documents. Ideally, these accounts should have been independently audited or certified, although we understand this may not always be possible in these unusual times. First, you need to give us an average of your turnover over the last 2 years. If you're only set up in 2019 and just have 1920 accounts, don't worry, just give us as the figure rather than an average. However, you will still need to have at least 1 full set of accounts to send us if you apply. This fund isn't suitable for organisations who've been set up this financial year during the pandemic. So just an example here, I'm going to enter 0. Next, tell us what percentage of your turnover is derived from heritage. So if you're mainly a heritage attraction or business where most of your income is from heritage, enter 100 here to represent 100%. If you find out that it's less than that, maybe only a small part of what you actually do is heritage, you're better suited to apply to another funder, such as the Arts Council. Next, you tell us a little bit more about your unrestricted reserves. So how much money you expect to have in unrestricted reserves, first of all, in January 2021. This is money that is not ring-fenced for a certain activity or cost and we use to keep your organisation going. So for example, this could be 10,000. And then next, tell us, excluding your Cultural Recovery Fund for Heritage Grant request, how many weeks of reserves do you forecast you'll have at the end of 1st of July 2021? So say, for example, you could have 6 months reserves at the end of January. By the end of July, this could well be looking like 0. If this is the case and you're a not-for-profit organisation, we want to have a look at the eligible costs in our guidance, as you already want to include an amount to help reinflate your reserves. You can find a bit more about the background about this in the next section, where it tells about how you've managed the impact of COVID so far and why it is that you need this grant to help you transition to a sustainable future after July 2021. Again, make sure this mirrors your business action plan. On to the final question now. There's a little bit more about your longer term plans to make sure you're going to be sustainable and viable after July 2021. And again, there are pointers here to tell you what to include. That's the final narrative question. So all that's left now is information about data protection and freedom of information. So you need to read this through and check that you agree with how we're going to process your data. You can find much more information by clicking the link here. Next, If there's anything sensitive in your application that you wouldn't want us to share in a Freedom of Information request, tell us about it here or make sure it isn't included. Next, there are some details about data protection, and you can also click if you're happy to take part in any user research. You can also let us know if you'd like us to keep in contact and keep you up to date with the work of the fund. Finally, there's a mandatory section where you need to read through and confirm these statements are true. Do you have permission from your organisation to submit this application and receive a grant if you're successful? This is the end of the application. So if you do find that there's anything that you want to check or change, you can use the back button. Finally, thing to do before you press to submit is to make sure all those supporting documents are ready. Once you press submit, there'll be an option to save or print a copy of your answers if you haven't already. And it reminds you that we're going to send you an email to request your supporting documents and also some diversity monitoring information. We like to be very busy on deadline day. This email may take up to 24 hours to reach you. If you haven't received anything after 24 hours of submitting your application, check your spam. And if there's still nothing, contact us at Cultural Recovery Fund at heritagefund.org.uk. Hope you find this video helpful and best of luck in your application.